After a group stage full of twists and turns, the knockout round of the World Cup gets underway this Saturday. The Americans played the Netherlands, and Team USA was hoping to advance to their first quarterfinal since 2002, but they couldn't overcome the Dutch team, losing 3-1. The other big match, Argentina and the Socceroos of Australia, with Argentina tipped as the clear favorite. For the latest on today's games, we can cross to Doha and speak to our sports editor, Simon Harding. Simon, let's start with the U.S.-Netherlands match. I have to say, as an American, I'm a little bit disappointed. I was rooting for them. That final score, the Dutch team 3-1. What happened to the Americans out there on the field?
Well, unfortunately, Team USA weren't clinical enough. I think that's the best way to sum up the game. The Dutch, on the other hand, were absolutely in form in front of goal. They had 2 opportunities in the first half, and they scored 2 goals. It could have been a very different story had Christian Pulisic, the talismanic player for Team USA, scored after just 3 minutes. A massive opportunity for him to get on the board early on. It wasn't to be. In the second half, the US pushed a little bit more, and they did get a goal back through Wright, but Denzel Dumfries was on cue for the Netherlands just 5 minutes later to put them once again in the lead with a 2-goal margin and extinguish any hope of a comeback for the Team USA. It's important to remind everyone that the American team is a very young team. It's a team that's very much building towards the next World Cup, which will be on home soil for the Americans. When you look at the talent in the squad, Weston McKennie of Juventus, Eugenio Dest, AC Milan, Timothy Weah of Lille, Christian Pulisic, who's still very young, of course, Anthony Robinson. There's a lot of good players to come, and the focus for the United States will be to cater a team that is competitive, even more competitive in 4 years' time. For the Dutch, of course, it's a very good result after being slightly disappointed in the group stage. Some happy Dutch supporters with me here, as you can see, and it'll be a game for them in the quarterfinals, which will be quite tough, either against Argentina, who, as you mentioned, are the overwhelming favourites, or against Australia, in which case I think everyone in the Netherlands would be quite happy.
Now, Simon, as you just mentioned there, all eyes are turning to the day's other big matchup, Argentina versus Australia. Lionel Messi hoping to take his team all the way to a championship. What are Argentina's chances looking like?
Oh, well, it's a real David and Goliath situation here. David being very much Australia, Argentina, 2-time world champions, Albi Celeste, with Lionel Messi, as you mentioned, probably one of the greatest players of all time, in the eyes of many, the greatest player of all time. It's also an opportunity for him to bow out of his international career with the World Cup trophy, which he has never won. He equaled Diego Maradona's record of 8 goals earlier on in the tournament. He can move clear of Maradona outright with another strike to his name. And Argentina, who finished top of their group after that shock defeat in their opening match of the tournament against Saudi Arabia, have now got what seems to be a clear path to the semi-finals. Yes, the Dutch have shown that they can be stern resistance and a resilient team to break through, but Argentina, if they beat Australia, as they are very much expected to do, will be expected to beat the Netherlands as well, and then it would be a semi-final potentially against Brazil. So you can imagine the excitement that there is there, but there is still the question mark of can Argentina deliver when they haven't got their back against a wall. They very much did so when they played against Mexico and against Poland. This time around, it's a knockout stage. There's a lot of nerves, there's a lot of experience in the Argentina team, but there's also a lot of inexperience with young players, and Lionel Scaloni has opted to turn to younger players, Julian Alvarez of Manchester City, for example, Lisandro Martinez in central defence, to try and balance the lack of physicality at times. So an interesting game, but of course Argentina massive favourites, and it would be a cataclysmic result if they were to head out of the competition.
Thank you so much, Simon Harding, for giving us the latest there in Doha. The World Cup sports editor, Simon Harding.